Hello and welcome to another video on this weird and wonderful AI channel. In this video, we are going to look at the AI toolkit for Flux Dev Training. And I have the instructions loaded here. This is the Git page. And what we need to do is follow these steps to install and initialize the AI toolkit. And then we'd be able to train these set of images that I have uploaded onto my RunPod. So just before we get started, so RunPod I have just created under the Explorer. I have created this particular pod using this official template, and make sure you give your hard drive a good size, right? The hard drive should be in this case, I did make a mistake, but I will share the mistake with you guys. Is when I initialized the hard drive, I didn't give the main volume enough storage. It was 20 GB. So I have given this 100 GB so that the model and all the required files can be easily stored. And I've got another volume with 80 gigs of storage, so my LoRA files can be saved there without any trouble. I don't think I need 80 for this volume. You could probably do with 20 or 40, but that's what I chose to set up. Once your pod runs up, all you have to do is click on connect, and it will allow you to connect to the Jupyter Lab here, which I have up and running. So that's the interface of the Jupyter Lab. You will have a default directory called workspace, and in there you can upload your files. So here I have my images already uploaded as zip, which I have extracted into this particular folder. These images are the ones we're going to train, and we're going to train this style, which I have done in the past for SDXL, but I am also going to train this again for Flux Dev. It's a style which is mostly backlit, silhouetted, and it's a combination of red and orange color scheme. So all these images are here, and I have already got the captions done. So this is pre-work that you need to do beforehand. But in the workspace here, all we need to do is open up a terminal. So I'm going to open the terminal, and away we go. So I'm logged in already as root because I'm connected to this pod with admin rights, which is the default behavior of this pod. So I'm just going to grab this and we're going to get going. Paste that command here and hit run. It's going to clone the AI toolkit. We should see a folder pop up here in a few seconds. And the next command here is we need to change directory to that. There you go. The folder is there. So we're going to do cd AI toolkit, and we're in this directory. Now we need to install and run this command for Git. So let's paste that here and click enter. Now this is going to install any required files. Should take a few seconds. And what I found with this RunPod was that it was nice and easy and fast. By the way, I did not mention which pod I'm using. I'm using an A40 here, which is a 48 GB VRAM GPU. But I will show you that you probably don't need that much. You can do without 48, and 24 will be enough. So next command is this to create the environment. So let's do that. Paste again, hit enter, and that's going to take a few seconds to create the environment. In the meantime, I have a few other terminal windows that I open up just to monitor what's happening with my RunPod. This one shows me the GPU and how the GPU is being utilized. At the moment it's 0% utilization and 0 megs of the GPU are being used. Obviously there's some power being used as it's up and running. And then here I'm just monitoring the resources to see what's happening on the particular pod. There we go, the environment's created. So next we're going to activate that. So I'm just going to copy this line here and we're going to paste that here. Paste and enter. There we go, we're in the environment, and then we're going to install Torch. So first step there, paste, hit enter, and let it install Torch. Now this may take a few minutes to install. Hopefully, the beauty of the RunPod is it's nice and quick, because when it's going to get the files off the internet, it's got the biggest backbone internet connection that you can imagine. As you can imagine, this is hosted in a data center somewhere, so it's got the fastest internet possible, which makes it quite beneficial when you're having to install and download those models, and especially Flux Dev, which is 23 gigabytes in size. We're just going to get this next command ready and copy that. This might take a few minutes, so in the video itself I might pause and skip to the time when it comes back up, but I will explain what goes on in the meantime. So you have all these packages that are required for Torch to be installed. It's collected all those packages and now it's going through the installation process. And if we look at that, we should see the CPU being used here. You can see that pip3 command, which is what we used, is using up the CPU. That's great. It's doing its thing. We'll let it be. All right, there we go. That is done. And now we need to run the last command, which is this one here. That is it. Hit enter. And now it's going to do the necessary installation as per the requirements text file. So that is going to take some time as well. In the meantime, if we scroll on the left and follow down to the steps here, what it's requiring us to do is we need to download Flux Dev. And because this is a gated model, we need to get the token key from Hugging Face. And we need to put that token key here in this particular location, in this format, in a file called .env. So my tip there is to create a file under the AI toolkit, but as a text file. So here we will just create a new file. So file, new text file. And there we go, it's created an untitled.txt. So we're just gonna grab and paste your token key. So all you have to do is go to huggingface.co/settings/token, and you can access your token key or create that token key if you haven't done so. When you're prompted, click save, and that will close the file. And here, in the meantime, that command's still running and so forth. So what we'll do is we'll open up a new terminal. And what we'll do is we'll use the move command to just rename that file to .env as per the instructions. So the command is mv and untitled.txt to .env. And because it's a .env file, it's not going to be visible here, but it will exist there. So just going to hit enter. In a few seconds, you'll notice this file will disappear. There we go, that's gone. So our renaming has been done, and essentially the file is ready. Let's see how we're going with the install. It's still doing its thing, and it's going to install all these packages like before. So it will take a few minutes again to install. In the meantime, let's have a look at the YAML file that we need to create. Now this YAML file is a configuration file which we will be using, and this YAML file is essentially configuration settings to train our LoRA. You can get a copy of that from the config examples, and the file that I've used is this one here, train LoRA Flux 24 GB. So let's edit that file. We're just going to do that here. I'm going to open that in the editor. And here I'm going to give it a name. So we're just going to use the same name as this file. So the easiest thing to stay consistent is to go rename, copy that string, and then we'll just put that name there. And here the training folder is the output directory. In the past I used a folder name, but because you use this, it's already going to use a folder name for that. So once the training folder is done, we're just going to set up a trigger word here, and the trigger word is going to be the same text, so paste that there. And my LoRA is going to be using a size of 32 rank for both of these. I want to save every 200 steps, and the folder path of these images is this one here. So I'm just going to update that. So it's under workspace and dark red silhouette style. The captions are already in text file. They are having these settings 0.05. These are all default. I did increase this from 2 to 3,000 steps here. And then basically just follow through, leave most of these as default. Then what we're going to do is we're going to modify the prompts here. So I have prepared a few prompts that I want to use as part of this. So here we go. These are the prompts that I want to use. So here with the trigger word, I'm going to paste my prompt. That's the first one. And that's the second one. I want to use the trigger word in each of those prompts. I want to see the effect of that. Although from what I understand, you don't necessarily need the trigger word, but we'll use that because that's what we're used to doing with other LoRAs. Okay, I just want 3 prompts, so I don't need any more. So I'm going to delete those. So those prompts are ready to go. And my seed here, I can set a seed. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 8. And we will use the guidance scale of 4 and steps 20. And obviously I have given it my name here, ready to go. So that's all I have to do. This file is ready. So click close, save. And then what I'm going to do is copy this file into the AI toolkit, into config, and we're just going to paste that there. Whoops, that's the wrong file. That's not what we want. We want the YAML file. So copy that file, AI toolkit, config, paste. That's the YAML file. Don't need that, so I'm going to just get rid of it. Okay, so now if we go back to our command prompt, we are in the AI toolkit folder and we're ready to run the first command. There we go. Python, run, and then the config. All right, now we're getting close to running this particular command. So what we're going to do is start with this particular string. Copy that, paste here, and of course I need to run my file here with my config file, which is the one that we have uploaded. So it's drk, and I'll just tab out and that will fill the full file name. Now the very first time you run it, it will download the models. Now because I've done this as a practice before I started recording this video, I already have the models downloaded, so it's gonna skip that part, as you will see. But because it's on RunPod, and as I said, it's got a huge internet backbone, it literally took 30 seconds to download all the models on this particular pod when I ran it initially. So that will not be a long wait for you. So it will be very quick. Here we go. The job is starting and we should see our processes starting to kick in, and soon enough you'll see the GPU cranking up and kicking up to 100%. And let's go back up to the AI toolkit here, and our output is going to be in the output folder. So this is where we're going to see the files getting created under this particular folder, and you can see that it's loaded the settings. It's just showing us a preview of those settings, and it's getting ready to start executing. Creating LoRa network with the settings of 3232. Fantastic. Now it's creating the different buckets. My data set has images in various dimensions, and as per the configuration file, it's cropping them down into various sizes, and it's going to create the different buckets to start using them. There we go. As Flux is not really limited to a fixed resolution size as the previous SD and SDXL models, it is good to have a variety of different size images that you use to train your LoRa. Here we go, exciting times. We have the LoRa starting to be trained. 0 of 3000 steps, and in this case it's going to be just under 3 hours to train our LoRAs. It's going to save every 200 steps a new file, so that will be saved under this output directory. This is what we set up previously, the output path and the LoRa name which it's using, and this is where it will output those particular safe tensor files. The one thing to note is one of the settings in the configuration. Actually, it's in the config, so I can just show you here. This one here. One of the settings in the configuration is maximum steps saved to keep, so 8. Now, because we're training 3000 steps and we're saving every 200 steps, what you have to remember is it's only going to keep a maximum of 8 files, right? So once the 16th file is saved, 1600 steps, the next one will be at 1800. It will start removing some of the old ones as it goes. So if I wanted, I could have set this to something like 15 or 16, which would mean that it would keep all the files, but just to save disk space, I set it to 8 initially. But I can download those files as they start to get created. So let's go back to the output directory. I don't think nothing has output yet because we're just getting started, and we are at 31 steps of 3000, and we've got about 3 hours to go. So I will skip ahead and save you the trouble of having to sit there and watch. But this is essentially the entire process of setting up your RunPod to train a Flux Dev LoRA. Alright, here we go. We are past the initial 200, and that means we have our first file output ready. This is the first file at 200 steps, and we have some sample images generated. Now, because the LoRa is only starting to just be created, we may see some of the aesthetics that we're after, or we may not. We might have to wait for a few more steps for that to start to show. But we can start to see some of those images popping up from the 3 prompts that we set up. There's the first one, and here is the second one, and this is the third one. Okay, cool. So the setup is working. We just need to give it time for the LoRa to be trained and then the different files to be available. All right, as the training continues, we can see the VRAM being used through this command, which is running NVIDIA-SMI. This command will show you the GPU usage in terms of the VRAM and the CPU utilization, or the GPU, I'd rather say. In this case, we can see that it's only about 22 GB here of the overall memory, which means that if you have a 24 GB card, you can run this AI toolkit on your local computer. In my case, I only have a 16 gig card, which means I have to utilize these RunPod GPUs. But that's not to say that I couldn't run this on another GPU, for example, using an RTX A5000 or a 3090, even a 4090 if there's one available here. Yes, I could use that. These will do just fine for creating these LoRAs because the AI toolkit is optimized and utilizing only resources up to 24 GB. So I stopped the LoRa at 2000 steps, and I can see already that the model has learned really well the aesthetics and the style that I'm going for. I'm getting some of those red and orange hues coming through with the dark silhouetted subjects showing up in these images. I generated these using Comfy UI, so you would plug the LoRa in as you would use any other LoRa, and you can get these beautiful results. If you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below, and if you've trained any LoRas, let me know. I'd love to check them out. Thanks again for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Bye bye.